Hey everybody, this is the Canadian Wolf bringing you a couple more Reddit stories. This time around, we have one from the ChoosingBeggars subreddit and one from the EntitledParents subreddit. Our first story, which is from the ChoosingBeggars subreddit, is titled Choosing Aunt Wants Weekend AC Work Done for Free. Again. Let's get to it, Pack. So, with a bit of context here, I went and got my apprentice AC license, finished WOTEC, and was going to work to get my journeyman's license to be an HVAC technician. However, oil market booms and I'm in the field by trade, so I go back to it. I still do the easy work on the side, changing thermostats, checking charges, capacitors, etc., for family and close friends. So a few years ago, my aunt-in-law, we will call her CBA, needed a new fan motor. I told her sure, and she asked how much I charge. Since I am unlicensed and unbonded with no insurance, I can't charge what an AC company would. So I say, whatever you think is fair. I'm not trying to screw family. That statement will be important in a minute. Now, anytime you replace a fan motor, you should change your capacitor. Typically another $12. I work Monday to Friday, 7 to 3:30. So for her, I wake up at 6 on a Saturday morning. Go pull her fan and run to the local parts house. They do not have the fan in stock, however the computer shows the store on the north side of town has two. So I go. Call her to let her know I would be an extra hour. It's 30 minutes one way there. I hear a huff and a fine. So, thinking that's weird. She asks if I know how much the fan is going to cost. I tell her, fan will be about 120 plus tax. The cap will be about 12 plus tax. So I'm not sure of the exact cost. I'll let you know when I get back. She just hangs up. So I get back to her house, replace the fan motor and cap in about an hour on a Saturday. So all in all, about 3 hours total spent on her fan. I get done and she gives me a finally. I hand her the receipt for the parts and she hands me a check. I put it in my back pocket and head home. Wife asks how everything went and I said good. Pulled out the check for $156. What the actual F? She paid for literally only the parts, not my time, and no account for gasoline. I was pissed. My wife asked if she should say anything. I said no. If my time is not worth anything to her, then I guess it is what it is. She will need me later. Guaranteed. Fast forward 5 years. This whole time, I was cordial and respectful at any family gathering. I did not hate her or resent her, but every time her goddamn air conditioner kicked on, I cringed inside. Her AC goes out again. Needs a new compressor, which means she needs all new refrigerant and a new compressor on an R22 unit.
Hey, hon, something is wrong with my air conditioner. Can you come check it out?
Sure. That will be a $75 diagnostic fee if you don't use me to fix your unit after diagnosis.
Alright, you didn't charge me that last time.
Well, I've had so many people use me to diagnose that it is costing me money, and I never hear from them again.
Okay.
I get there, and it doesn't take me long to see that the compressor is not kicking on, so I give her the full breakdown. You need a new compressor at $800. You will have to get new R22. I can cut you a break on that at $325. Plus labor, $65 an hour. Should only take 2 hours, so anything over that I won't charge for since I'm giving you this quote. So altogether, $12.55. She completely scoffs at this. I said I know it is steep, but that is a really good deal for someone to do this on a Saturday. This time she needed it. It was the only time she could have it done, and it was the heat of the summer. One of the hottest summers on record. This entitled B doesn't care. My work is so slow and bad that she isn't going to pay that since it's only a side job and I don't really need the money. I'm just trying to screw her over. I'm never allowed in her house again, blah blah blah. Come to find out, the next week when my mother-in-law asks why I didn't fix the AC, not accusatory, just plain puzzled, I explained what happened, what the quote was, and everything. She just laughs and calls her own sister a dumb bee. She called a local service company, and in a panic because she needed it done. She was charged $2,400 because in the realm of AC companies, here at least, they don't just charge time and a half for Saturday work. They double. They also add an extra amount for the parts, because where are you going to get it? Well then, that was rather cheap of the aunt-in-law to only pay for the parts themselves, and leaving OP at a loss for the gas and the wasted time. But I guess OP kinda had that coming, saying whatever you think is fair when asked about how much it's going to be. Obviously, the aunt-in-law thinks OP's time and gas is free. But lesson learned for OP. Then, when the AC breaks down again and OP, having learned from the last time, decides to start off with a $75 diagnosis fee and give her a full quote of the expected costs, she claims it's way too high and basically bans him from her house. She then proceeds to call an AC service company and ends up getting charged double. Good on her. Now, had she turned around and came back to OP, I hope he would have jacked up the price to up at least half the difference between his original quote and the AC service company, just to stick it to her. But that's just my thought. Now, let's move on to our entitled parent story, titled, Entitled Mom Wants to Skip the Line, Gets a Lot More Than She Wanted. Let's get to it, Pack. I need to know detail. It was effing hot. It was about 35 degrees Celsius, but it felt like 44. Important detail for later. So I was standing in line at the checkout at my local supermarket. I think in total I had about 10 items, some frozen goods, drinks, and snacks. I usually tend to take out one of the buds on my phone so in case someone addresses me, I would hear it. At this time, the woman at the cash register was taking care of the payment of one client and there was one person in front of me. And then suddenly, she appeared, the EM in the story. Now, honestly, she didn't look it. She didn't even give off a mean vibe or anything. Even the way she started talking to me was overall nice and polite at first.
Excuse me, do you mind if I skip ahead? I'm in a hurry.
Now, in general, if somebody politely asks me this and I don't have any urgent business of my own, I usually don't mind. This time, however, I didn't have that many groceries, so her delay would be at most a few minutes, while she was pushing a fully loaded shopping cart in front of her. So if I would have let her skip, I'd probably still be in the store for another 10 to 20 minutes. So I politely decline and tell her I will hurry as much as I can. Of course, this was a great offense. I had not given this woman her entitlement. She blew up instantly, yelling and screaming at me that she was in a hurry and, not kidding here, had to be home in time for her shows. Now at this time, I would like to point out that during this rant, she only said she had to be home in time for shows and that they were very important to her. There was nothing else making this urgent for her. This is important a bit later. Now, while this woman was going off, the person at the cash register went into ignore mode and just started scanning my groceries, which I loaded into a bag while the entitled mother was going on about how I was garbage and they should ban me from the store. Now, this should have been the end of it. Just turn around and go home and forget this happened. But then she said something that, 1, made me almost want to kill her, 2, made this a postable story. While I was walking away, just about to put the earbuds back in, she yells,
If you pass by my car, tell my son he's the reason he has to wait another half an hour for me.
Now, I'm not an extremely smart person, but in this moment, my brain made some connections quickly. What I realized was this. 1, again, it was very hot outside. 2, this woman had been in the store for a while, judging by the amount of groceries. 3, the entire parking lot of this store had almost no shade. 4, it was about 2 p.m., so the sun was just over its peak. I rush outside and start running past cars, scanning them for kids inside. Thankfully, one of the first cars I pass has a small child laying in the back seat. This kid is as pale as a ghost, sweating like crazy, and it looked like he was only half conscious. I run back inside, and to my utter astonishment, this bee is having a conversation with the cashier while she's checking out her groceries. I grab her by the shoulders, spin her around, and yell almost straight to her face that her kid is literally dying in your car, and if you don't do something right now, I'm smashing in your windows and calling the cops. At first, she looked at me in complete confusion. Probably never been spoken to like that before in her life. Then, the realization of what I told her sunk in, and she rushed outside. While she went outside, a man tapped me on the shoulder and asked what had happened. I explained the situation, actually leaving out the bit at the cash register, just saying I saw the kid in the car and knew that this woman was probably the owner. He went outside, and when I came outside, the entitled mother suddenly rushed me and got in my face, saying I was the reason she was in the store for so long, and her son's current condition was my fault. Before I could even respond, the man that approached me earlier speaks up. Turns out this man was an off-duty cop and had been in the store for a while, and as such knew that the actual delay caused by me could have not caused this. He also said he had already called an ambulance for the kid and the cops for her. I don't know what happened to the entitled mother, but she completely crashed. She just sat down on the pavement and started shaking her head, not saying much except for the occasional sob or, "Not my fault." As for the ending, everything turned out okay for most parties. I stayed a while to give a statement to the cops and my contact info in case it went to court. The kid was okay afterwards, and since his mom got arrested, they called his dad or another male family member, I didn't ask, to accompany him to the hospital. As for the entitled mother, I'm assuming she is going to have to stand trial for child endangerment. Not sure if she'll just get a fine or jail time. Update. I was contacted by the police a few days ago, last Friday. I went to the station where they went over my statement, asked if I wanted to add or amend anything I said. I didn't. They couldn't really tell me directly what was going to happen with the mother, or the family in general, but said that the standard punishment, when the child is not seriously hurt or dead, is usually a GAS fine. GAS stands for Municipal Administrative Sanction in English. I think it's kind of sad something bad has to happen before serious punishment is handed out. I do not know what the amount of the fine will be, but as for me, it couldn't be high enough. I have not seen any of those people in the store or in the area in general, but I also don't know if they live near here or were just passing by the store by coincidence. Or maybe they just avoiding the store, that's also possible. That will probably be the end of this tale. I know many of you hoped for something worse for the mother, but sadly, life is not fair, but at least the child lived, and let's hope the mother learned a lesson. Okay, forget hitting a nerve. This story completely smashes my nerves. I am a parent of 2 wonderful children, and I cannot even imagine how someone can possibly forget that their kids are in the backseat of their car when they get out, let alone leave them in there knowingly, because I'll only be a couple minutes. Bring your kids with you! Even if it's only 2 minutes. You never know when you will get sidetracked by running into someone and chatting, or getting stuck in a long lineup. Or end up getting a lot more than you went in for. I'm notorious for that, you can ask my wife. I've also heard of people saying to leave something important in the back seat, like your phone or purse or something, so that you must go in the back and notice your child. Really? WTF can be more important than your child. Anyways, end rant. Well everybody, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you really enjoyed these stories. If so, make sure to hit that like button and go give the authors some upvotes on Reddit. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you know when my next video comes out. This is a Canadian Wolf saying, stay wild.